It's Wednesday, the 8th of July, 2020, and I'm Joe McParland with TCM Labs. This video presents the absolute minimum to get you started with OBS and KDENLIVE. For details beyond these, there's already a large body of how-tos on the web. Simply Google your topic or go straight to YouTube search, as the results are likely to be in video form, produced using some combination of OBS and KDENLIVE. OBS and KDENLIVE are two open-source projects that make videos like this possible. OBS, or Open Broadcast Software, allows you to take different audio and video sources, plus other elements such as images, screen text, live on-screen activity, and so forth, and arrange them on a canvas into different layouts called scenes. You switch between them as you render them into recordings, a live stream, or both. KDENLIVE, the KDE Non-Linear Video Editor, allows you to take various video and audio tracks and manipulate them and combine them in fairly sophisticated ways, eventually rendering your work into new video. There's a lot of overlap between these products, particularly with setting layouts and rendering a new video from the components, but they are different in two important ways. OBS is focused on producing a recording in real time. Streaming, remember? It has no editing capability. KDENLIVE is focused specifically on editing. It has no recording capability. If you're producing videos like this, your workflow will use OBS for webcam and microphone recording, as well as live screen recordings, and you'll follow up with KDENLIVE to trim out the errors, tighten the flow, add title screens, and so forth. First, let's talk about OBS. The strong point of OBS is real-time production of video for streaming, and live streaming gamers are heavy drivers of OBS capability. Their typical use case is broadcasting a game they're playing on their computer to their audience watching on YouTube, Twitch, or similar services, generally with the player's webcam footage presented as an insert for live commentary and reaction. Those capabilities translated into things like this. Pretty cool, right? That last scene was my canvas, fully populated with my webcam, with some text overwriting, some rotated for titles. This scene is a smaller view of the webcam over a screenshot photo. While not quite as exciting, we have all the tools we need for recording instructional videos and just about anything else. By the way, if I stumble during recording, it's not a problem. I'll take it out later with KDENLIVE. So, this screenshot, minus my webcam image in the center of course, is what you might see on first running OBS. It's fairly sparse and, once you start exploring the menus, it can be quite intimidating. Fortunately, the basics are manageable once we get our minds around the paradigm. The black area around my camera here is the OBS canvas. It's the space where we'll build each scene. Scenes are created and managed in the scene window in the lower left. Each scene, in turn, is built with various sources, arranged, resized, and layered on the canvas. The canvas itself can be about any standard resolution size, typically set to the resolution of your monitor. We can choose separate resolutions for recording and streaming output, typically preserving at least the aspect ratio. Let's skip forward a bit and see what this screen looks like for this scene. There, I'm down here now, my original position now captured in a new screenshot. More importantly, in the far left window, you now see a handful of scenes. One of them is highlighted, called First Run. The sources in the neighboring window indicate that this scene has a webcam source running on top of a still image. The layering order is determined by the source position on the list. You'll also see now that there's a microphone source in the audio mixer window, just to my right, your left. It's still now, as that's a screenshot, but rest assured it bounces around during recording. Before we can get to the scenes and sources though, we have to complete our basic setup. The Settings button is found next to me in the lower right corner of the console. Clicking that Settings button, we're taken to a pop-up window with at least 7 categories. We're going to minimally visit 3 of them: Output, Audio, and Video. Here in the Output category, we're concerned with rendering the canvas down to a video output in real time, and that output may be sent to a live streaming service, sent to a disk for recording, or both. For this Quickstart video, remember that we're focused primarily on getting a fairly high-quality recording, not generating a live stream. Still, some recording settings may refer to streaming settings, so pay attention to both. Looking at the streaming section here, I have fairly standard settings selected to produce 1080p HD quality video. I've selected an encoder type of hardware, since this box is running a GPU. You may leave it as it is in the default setting if you're relying on your computer's CPU for processing. Remember to switch it if you want to prefer your GPU. In the recording section, be sure to select Recording Path field. That's where the video recordings will be dropped in your directory structure. Here, I'm running a snap image of OBS on Ubuntu Desktop. The default path for recordings was Home, User, Snap, the OBS version, and so forth down to some videos directory. Easy to get lost. Here, I've pointed it to a more conventional location in my project directory. Recording quality is set to same as stream or high quality medium file size. Feel free to explore other options once you get running. Recording format is set to MKV, the default, one container to rule them all, audio-video format. MOV, FLV, MP4, and others are available. I'll leave mine at MKV. Later, KDENLIVE knows how to read MKV, and I will render the final product to an MP4 for upload to YouTube or elsewhere. The audio settings are a little easier. There's nothing especially complicated with the general section. 44.1 kHz digital sampling of your audio is standard. If you know that your microphone is mono rather than stereo, and you know that you'll not be incorporating any other stereo audio sources, you may switch the channels to mono and possibly save some file space. Otherwise, there's no issue leaving it where it is for now. For devices, there are two primary categories: desktop audio and microphone/auxiliary audio. Note that, out of the box, all selectors are set to disabled. If you'll want to record your own voice in the production, you'll need to enable one of those mic fields. Selecting default uses the system default microphone. If you have more than one and want to be specific, the option will be in the pull-down. Desktop audio is another animal. This is all system output that would ordinarily be sent to the speakers or headset. For a live streamer, this would include the game sounds. If you're not careful, it may also include system pop-up sounds like the instant message alerts and the You've Got Mail type alerts. It's up to you if you want to activate them, and it's up to you to marshal what sounds make it through. Any devices activated here will appear in the audio mixer panel in the OBS console, together with their meters, level sliders, options to mute, as well as individual advanced settings gear icons. Advanced settings include line delays on the audio, selecting whether a particular microphone is mono rather than stereo, and some audio effects. Again, explore them on your own time once you're up and running. In this screenshot, I've enabled both the microphone and the desktop audio, so I'll just have the microphone enabled when I continue. So you'll see that present in the audio mixer next. The last of our big three is the video tab, where we see the canvas resolution, the output resolution, and the frames per second selector. Again, I've set the canvas resolution to 1920 by 1080, the resolution of my screen. For output, I'm selecting a more standard 1280 by 720 resolution at 30 frames per second, perfectly acceptable for a 1080p high-definition output, and it matches the 16:9 aspect ratio of my canvas. To help you plan, this output combined with the audio tracks consumes roughly 1 GB per hour. You'll see that there's also a downscale filter option. The default here is bicubic. Feel free to check the other options once you're up and running. Alright, now, for some quick closing remarks for OBS. Looking across the pull-downs at the top of the console, take note of the profile and scene collection options. A profile contains all the streaming and recording settings that we just set. You may want to have different settings for different types of recordings, different resolutions, different streaming services, and so forth. Under this tab, you can keep them all separate and at the ready. Similarly, for different tasks, you will likely want to keep different collections of scenes available at the click of a button. Now you can mix and match. Just be careful, the two are not as independent as you might think. If you select a particular scene collection, but use a different profile, particularly one using a different canvas resolution, you may find you have to adjust the scene sources to appear properly scaled and in the right places. If that's the case, I'd suggest you duplicate the scene collection and modify the copy to work with the changed profile. Your go-to sources in building scenes will likely first be video capture device, the web camera itself, screen capture for full screen recording, and window capture for selecting individual active windows. This video also incorporates text for the different titles, as well as images for the still screenshots. Remember, order of sources matters. The order determines how they are layered when visual components overlap. Once a source is defined in one scene, it is available for use in other scenes too. For instance, once we create a scene that uses a webcam, we won't create a scene with a new video capture device and expect to find the video camera available. Instead, reuse the original source that you defined for the web camera. Just be careful. Changes in a source properties will be reflected in all scenes using that source. Finally, OBS is mostly stable. That is, every so often you may find something inexplicably wonky. Sometimes something is just off. I hate to say it, but sometimes logging off and logging back in again or rebooting will clear the problem. But once you have things running, just know it's a very powerful tool, allowing you to switch between the scenes at your leisure for some very sophisticated effects. After this, we move on to KDENLIVE. All right, for our OBS section, we have 7 clips that we'd like to edit, string together, and render down into a video using KDENLIVE. You see them here? We're going to drag them right into the project bin. All right, now we can get rid of those files and start our editing.